I'm Eugene Sarich, expert member in town planning, and I sit on 3 other panels. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I take it that no apology has been received. Is there anyone this morning who would like to declare an interest in any of the matters on the meeting agenda this morning? No. I move that the minutes of the local planning panel meeting held on the 28th of February 2024, which was the last time the panel convened, be adopted. Do I have a seconder for that motion?
Yeah.
Is anyone that speaks against the motion? So the motion is carried. Before the meeting today then, there are matters, there's a development application to be considered in respect of premises at 7 to 11 Ryde Road, Huddersfield. I propose to move immediately to the consideration of that development application, for which the panel's been given an assessment report. I understand that today there are 2 speakers in respect of that application, and I propose to invite them to come forward and speak to the application. So, sir, if you could come forward, identify yourself.
Yes, Chair. I'm Vishal Lakhia, architect and urban designer. My architect registration number is NSWA 11262. I'm a resident of North Sydney, though, apartment 10 of 238 Falcon Street, North Sydney. I've been engaged by the landowner of property to the east of the subject site. It's number 5 Ryde Road. The challenges I'm currently facing as an architect and urban designer is to do with access. And when I say access, it's during the operation of the building, and also we are wondering how will construction occur on that site. It's being isolated severely. That subject site, which I'm designing, is 728 square meters in size approximately, has a frontage of approximately 9 meters, and it's severely constrained by a traffic intersection, set of lights, and a pedestrian crossing. So in no way we could arrange independent access for that site. So I think I would really request the panel when they make their decision to have some sort of a condition, some sort of an assurance for my client to have like a access through the driveway, through the basement to the subject site, and then how that's considered. There should be some kind of formal mechanism and some kind of a condition for the subject site 7 to 11. Other than that, Chair, if you allow, I've got Dr. Thaluja, the owner of the property. She would want to make sort of a 30-second to a minute request to you to speak, if that's allowed.
You don't have any comments as architect to otherwise?
I do have comments, but I do realize they are very experienced panel members there. I do have the nature of work I personally do, and that's my subject. That's my really personal comments. The nature of work I personally do is I work with a lot of heritage architects, sort of collaboratively in different councils. I'm also a member of 6 different design review panels. I personally find the form could have been.
So you're going to make some comments upon the design, are you?
If I'm allowed to, but
please keep
I don't want to cross my sort of remit.
Please keep your comments as brief as
possible. It's just the architectural expression of the front buildings could have been a lot more sort of resolved a bit differently. Maybe sort of a traditional, if they kind of took sort of a slightly different approach and had those vertical rhythms in the expression, and then used some kind of self-finished materials such as bricks and concrete, and sort of more traditional in nature, it would have been much nicer expression. But I personally don't have an issue with the 3-story form to the street, because I understand they comply with the FSR and the height controls, but maybe perhaps a 2-story plus attic would be a sort of a better expression to the street, given the heritage conservation area and there are existing the terraces, the heritage items which are being retained by the eastern side to number 5, which is I think number 3, and then they are nice fiber the cladded cottages.
So do we take it that you oppose the approval of the development in its current form?
In its current form, yes, unless the site isolation aspect is properly resolved with some sort of a documentation done.
I'm not here to give you advice.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for the council to do that.
Yes,
And generally speaking, it's up to the owners of the land
yes,
affected to negotiate and come up with some proposal. But
yes,
as
Chair.
I say, I'm not here to give you any legal advice.
Yes, yeah. And that's, Chair, it's very common these days in urban centers, sites being isolated. So it's my request to you to, whether you approve it or whatever decision you take, there are proper conditions that make the owners responsible on both sides.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
understand.
yes. Yes,
I have some questions.
yeah. From,
In relation to a future driveway connection
yeah.
connectivity, what sort of RL are you desiring to achieve?
Yeah,
Have you
and
thought about that?
we did a pre-DA with the town planning section at council. It has only been 3 weeks, and we are trying to we got the set of drawings from the council website
For this one?
for this
Yeah.
property, and then we are trying to work with the RLs,
Yeah.
and we are trying to work closely how the separation distances could occur, how we could locate our windows properly to allow sort of cross-viewing amenity impacts amongst 2 properties. So we are already.
Yeah, so you don't know if whatever RL they've specified here will actually suit you.
We know it'll work.
It will
The
work?
RL would work, but the layout, I'm kind of not entirely sure about the layout and the proposition they are making of where that aisleway is ending with Dr. Thaluja's property. But I'm not sure whether I can design for them, because I know that I've got to draw a line and I can't cross that line.
Right.
We tried to contact the architect next door and the owners as well. And we always do that as architects. We try and contact other architects, but we didn't receive any positive responses from either of the parties.
Yeah.
And I just trying to work in good faith, trying to get a building to work collectively.
And has there been any approach to the owner or the developer of number 5 for site consolidation and
I'll let Dr. Thaluja talk if that's
all right. I've got another question before that happens.
Yes.
I noticed that the property is currently for sale.
Excuse me, the property is not for sale. The sign hasn't been taken away.
Yeah.
That's the only problem.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He has approached
Excuse me,
many
sorry,
times.
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Are there any other members of the panel who would like to ask this gentleman any questions?
Vishal.
Aye.
Yeah.
All right, have you finished?
I have, yes, unless I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Thank you, Chair.
Please come forward.
sorry about that.
Before you speak, could you just introduce yourself and tell us where you live and what your interest is?
I'm Dr. Nimal Thaluja. I've been practicing in Australia for the last 50 years. General practice in various places. I live in Drummoyne. My main residence is in Drummoyne. I also have a multicultural mission aspect of and I'm the CEO for that, where we are talking in a very high scale and hoping that will be successful. This property I bought, I thought I'll have an integrated development where Hunters Hill can really give an icon building. I tried to contact him many times and said, why don't you do integrated development in such a way that you have your interest, I have my interest. The answer I got, no. Either you give away the property for 3 million to us and we do our own development, or we're not interested. And I was interested for community. I wanted to go in an aspect where integrated development comes in such a way that comes up like a corner. It's a corner. It's a traffic light there. Although we are only have a narrow path to go and that is also in the deed. It is registered in the deed. Actually, it's not registered on the deed, but there is something in the deed saying that I have access from there when they do the development and I do the development. But he's kind of not supporting it. He says, okay, whatever the council says, okay, whatever the council says. Now the council has agreed, I think, in the report that they will give me the access to do my development. But he is still not admitting. He rang me about 3 days ago. He said, are you going to give it? We can buy it your property. I said, please, I'm trying to say that I want to have my seniors residence there. I said, I might have to come and live here rather than Des Moines. So please let me make something. No, we're not interested. We'll go to the environment court if the council doesn't support me. So this is the kind of answer I have. And honestly, from my heart, I want to make an integrated development where it can stick out for the Hunters Hill.
All right. So you want us to consider site consolidation with number 5? Do you
Yeah,
have any other matters you want to raise briefly?
yeah, and then they help me, and then he can give me the access to do the construction. I'm not asking him the ownership or anything. All I want to have maybe 3 or 4 residents for the seniors we can have, but the access has to be there. It's not practical to have it from there. It's only traffic light.
We understand. Is there anything else you want to say?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Sorry, the other members might like to ask
Thank
you a
you.
question.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
It's okay? Thank you.
The architect.
Chair, can I just make one comment?
Come
I
forward
won't
to the
take more
mic.
than
Come
15
forward to the
I
microphone.
won't
sir.
take more than 15 seconds, but if this property gets constructed 7 to 11, and if there's no mechanism for access for Dr. Taluja's property, it'll never get constructed, because once the building is built, if you had been on site, you'll realize how narrow Dr. Taluja's site is and really deep, and we won't get access to do any work. And even during the operation ongoing for parking, for waste, for anything. So that's the challenge I forgot to mention. It's a sequence which gets built first, and that's also a challenge.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Excuse me, my town planner also has mentioned in the report where we put the objection, and it's been documented.
Yes.
My solicitor also said that it can be done. But the number 7, Henry, he's saying, no, I can get out, I can go to court. I said, well, it's only the benefit of people or Hunters Hill appearance, it's only that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But I think that there's nobody else wanting to speak to the meeting, so I propose the meeting now go into confidential phase. If that's